namatay ang isang estudyante matapos suntukin ng kanyang kaeskwela.
Katarungan naman ang sigaw ngayon ng pamilya ng isang 7 taong gulang na batang minolestya.
Nag-viral sa social media ang video na ito ng isang jeep na nakahinto sa traffic sa Macapagal Avenue sa Pasay.
Dumarami nga daw po at pabata ng pabata ang mga menor de edad na gumagawa po ng kung ano-anong krimen, pati na ang mga karimari-marim na krimen. Yan po mismo ay ayon sa DOJ. Kaya po ang panukala nila sa bagong criminal code na ibaba ang sinasabi pong minimum age of criminal responsibility.
Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte has vowed to continue his controversial anti-drug campaign. And now his allies in Congress are taking it a step further, proposing that children as young as 9 be jailed as well.
Initially, our interest to investigate on children's security or insecurity in the Philippines arose from the numerous news features on children found on national television, dailies, online news agencies, and even social media in the past months. Issues concerning children's rights have been put under the spotlight by the media, namely the increasing number of crimes committed by children, the petition in both the House of Representatives and the Senate to lower the minimum age of criminal responsibility, or MACR, in the Philippines from 15 years old to a lower age depending on the version of the bill, and the dangerously prevailing low age of consent in the Philippines marked at 12 years old. Such discussion led our group to consider the question: are children in the Philippines truly secured from a legal perspective? Do the laws of our lands protect and uphold the rights of children? Whereas children's rights concern a vast domain of issues alone, from right to education to right to protection from violence, adequate standard of living, freedom from exploitation and abuse, etc., we decided to focus on the key issue of juvenile justice in the Philippines and the heated debate on the MACR. To answer such question, we consulted a human rights lawyer, Attorney Maya Unico from the Ateneo Human Rights Center at the Ateneo Law School in Rockwell, Makati. Ateneo Human Rights Center advocates and participates in law and policy reform initiatives in the country and Southeast Asian region to ensure that internationally accepted human rights norms and standards are incorporated and integrated in laws, policies, and programs.
Right now kasi, our law sets the minimum age of criminal responsibility at 15. And frankly, that's a breakthrough law when that was passed. It recognizes yung developmental capacity ng bata na magbago. Kasi it recognizes the difference in children and adults. I think there are 2 proposals in the Senate to lower it to 9. And we are really opposed to that. Kasi imagine a 9-year-old jailed, diba? Like, with all the hardened criminals. And yun na yung role models nila in life. When, diba? If you take into account the evolving capacities of children, ang laki ng chance nila na magbago pa. 50 is not a random number. So, it's based on developmental psychology din, diba? Na that's the age that most children begins to have discernment. Ang additional factor sa discernment is, aside from knowing what is right from wrong, you have the capacity to understand the consequences of your action, diba? If I want to be like, parang medyo philosopher about it, dapat nga below 18 eh. Kasi diba, the UN Convention says any person below 18 is a child, diba? So, well, madami talaga yan. But, isa sa parang common really is poverty. Diba? There's no food on the table. Diba? So, and if you see the statistics, if you look at the studies, the statistics, most of the offenses they commit really are theft. Diba? So, ganun. Yung mga sa media na nakikita na like nakapatay, those are usually na hype up eh. Ang profile ng mga children in conflict with the law usually is they come from dysfunctional families or wala silang like no parent or adult supervision. So what happens? They have so much idle time with no guidance. Usually sinasabi, yung mga batang kriminal na yan, diba? Ginagamit ng sindikato para magnakaw, diba? Then the threat here is the syndicate. diba? We go after the syndicates, not the children, diba? They are victims as much as the person na nanakawan. In paper, we have good laws, we have good procedures, diba? Usually, nagkakaproblema tayo sa implementation. We have local government units naman na maganda implementation. Meaning, when may CICL, may local social worker, because that's mandated by law, diba? And then, they go through the process of rehabilitation, diba? So, may local, barangay, child protection council. May mga ganon. So, okay yon. But, admittedly, meron din tayo mga local government units na hindi pa nila masyadong nai-implement properly yung mga batas and procedures. Not all local government units, for example, have a social worker. And in the law, kailangan pagbating nahuli may social worker. Mandated yun, diba? But because of several reasons, like for example, lack of budget, hindi sila nakakapag-hire ng social worker. Or kung nakakapag-hire man, not capacitated enough. They take into account yung nature of offense, yung gravity ng offense, or kung may family ba yung bata, may parents, diba? So it's a case-to-case basis. But, ang bottom line is, hindi yan kinukulong. They say kasi na, yung juvenile justice law, hindi pinapunish yung mga bata. Which is a big misconception. They are actually punished, but in a different way. Because they go through. So, may rehabilitation process. It can take the form of, for example, pagbabalik na ninakaw. Or, kunyari, nag-vandal yung bata. Diba? Linisin mo yung vinandal mo. Diba? Again, case to case. Kaya malaki yung role ng social workers and ng Barangay Council for the Protection of Children. Because they are the ones who guide the child through this process, through this rehabilitative process. The penalties take on many forms. It can take on the form of community service. It can take on the form of reparation. Diba? So if you committed damages, you give something back to repair the damage. Juvenile justice, of course, that's the primary law, the Juvenile Justice Welfare Act. It's aligned with the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child in the sense that the convention says that jailing a child should be a measure of last recourse. You exhaust all measures, diba? We have actually law saying na using children as what do you call this, runners of drugs, that is a very high penalty law, diba? So that's preventive. That's a preventive measure designed to discourage the criminals from using children, but still happens. Diba? Not from a legal point of view, preventive din yung pagkakaroon ng magandang support system from the community. Some of these children become, for example, barangay kagawad. So may mga success stories naman. Unfortunately, meron din tayo mga not too successful. For children like them, yung mga hindi na rehabilitate or na-integrate and then nagtuloy-tuloy sa criminal ways. The question really is, kaninong kakulangan yun, diba? Is it the child's fault? Or maybe, diba? Or it's the government's fault? It's the, diba? So that's the real question. Like, para sa akin, the point we should reflect on is how come we were not able to help these children when we've seen it, we can make it happen. Ang DSWD, ang lead agency natin in charge of that, they have programs on, they call it rescue how they rescue street childrens. And they also have different shelters and different local government units. So, doon nila hinahouse yung mga bata, and then, ayun, so depende kung may pamilya o wala. In terms of what the UNCRC requires, that putting children in jail should be a measure of last resort, then yes, diba? In terms of the other standards, marami pa tayong kailangang gawin. And I say this not only for the juvenile justice issue, but children's rights in general, diba? So, sa topic na juvenile justice, as you know, diba, may moves nga to lower it, which is a regression. So, that's something we should work on, advocating against this. We need to raise awareness kasi for me, at least personally, ang bottom line dito is para siya sa bata. Diba? Kaya natin pinupush ang restorative justice for children in conflict with the law is yun nga, we don't want to deprive any child of the opportunity to at least have a chance at having a good life, diba? At becoming productive members of society. Sa totoo lang mahirap mag-lobby for CICLs, diba? Na dapat ang treatment sa kanila, ginagabayan. Kasi, bottom line, diba? Kung ikaw yung offended party, in your mind, parang, hindi, nagrabyado ako, dapat parusahan. Diba? It's really a change in mindset. It's really making people appreciate na yung capacity ng bata, ganito pa lang. So, dapat, binibigyan natin yan ng chance na mag-inform. Diba? Of course not. Of course not. Again, babalik ako doon sa developmental capacity ng bata. And babalik tayo doon sa restorative principle. We recognize that children, if given proper guidance and provisions, can still change and can still be given, can and should still be given an opportunity for a better life. Not juvenile justice, but we have several laws also in the Philippines na kailangan din natin i-update para ma-meet yung standards ng UN Convention on the Rights of the Child. So one example of that is the age of statutory rape. Madami talaga. Like even the treatment of children born outside a marriage, diba? In our laws, merong mga discriminatory treatment.
The Juvenile Justice and Welfare Act of 2006 is a law that creates a separate justice system for children in the country. Guided by the principles of restorative justice, it covers different stages involving children at risk and children in conflict with the law, from prevention, diversion, and rehabilitation to reintegration. This law is considered as a milestone in children's rights legislation in the Philippines. Since the law's enactment, children were not allowed to be detained by adults, and those who were supposed to be freed. The JJWA increased the MACR in the Philippines from 9 to 15. It decriminalized status offenses, clearly laid down the rights of children in conflict with the law, mandated detention as a last resort, and spared children from the death penalty. The Juvenile Justice Welfare Act upholds two major concepts, namely restorative justice and child in conflict with the law. Restorative justice is defined as a principle which requires a process of resolving conflicts with the maximum involvement of the victim, the offender, and the community. It seeks to obtain reparation for the victim, reconciliation of the offender, the offended, and the community, and reassurance to the offender that he or she can be reintegrated into society. It also enhances public safety by activating the offender, the victim, and the community in prevention strategies. Children in conflict with the law refers to children who are alleged as, accused of, or judged as having committed an offense under Philippine laws. Some say that the Juvenile Justice and Welfare Act is difficult to implement because it does not address the problem of children committing crimes. On the contrary, the JJWA has sufficient measures that addresses offense committed by children while enjoining the whole community to guide the youth. The rights of children should not be compromised merely on the basis of expediency. What is needed is to strengthen the institutions implementing the JJWA and to provide necessary resources to make these institutions effective. Instead of lowering MACR, strengthen the implementation of JJWA. As with other laws, there are challenges in implementing the JJWA that must be effectively addressed. However, difficulties in implementing the law cannot be used to justify lowering the MACR. This would compromise children's rights, namely on the basis of expediency. Lowering the MACR violates the rights of the child to genuine protection. The JJWA provides sufficient measures to hold children accountable for their wrongdoings, while taking into consideration their age and developmental capacities. Measures to assist children under the JJWA include prevention, diversion, intervention, rehabilitation, and reintegration to the community. Some argue that we should jail child offenders to prevent them from reoffending and becoming hardened criminals. However, detention of children in jails or prison-like facilities especially if they are very young, exposes them to criminal elements which may lead them to become hardened offenders. Detention of children should be the last resort, not the first and only option.